shoved off a yacht for 3B. What I discovered when they returned will leave you amazed. Jack Spencer leaned against the railing of the opulent yacht, the laughter of partygoers around him becoming a distant hum as he gazed out at the glimmering waters of San Francisco Bay. He felt like an outsider, adrift in a sea of privilege that made his cramped lab feel like a sanctuary. His cousin Trevor had always been the golden child, flaunting wealth and success, while Jack toiled away in research, sacrificing social status for the pursuit of knowledge. Why did standing on this luxury vessel leave him so hollow, feeling like he was watching life unfold from the other side of a glass wall? "Hey, Jack!" Trevor's voice boomed, cutting through Jack's thoughts like a sharp knife. "You just don't get it, do you? Real success isn't just discovery, it's cash. You need to learn how to play the game." Jack clenched his jaw, the sting of his cousin's dismissal igniting a flame inside him. Could Trevor really believe money defined a man? His heart raced, a mixture of wrath and despair tightening around him like a vice. "What do you know about true sacrifice?" Jack retorted, a fire in his throat. Trevor's smirk faded as the laughter of their guests dimmed, reality distorting in a moment's silence thick with tension. Jack felt vulnerable, stripped of every armor he'd built against Trevor's brashness, exposed and raw. His breath quickened, and for a second, he saw not just Trevor, but a lifetime spent in the pursuit of truth overshadowed by a family legacy that glorified wealth over wisdom. Before he could think, Trevor's face hardened with irritation. "You're just a bitter scientist in a world of winners." In a shocking twist, Trevor shoved him, jarring Jack's senses. The icy water enveloped him, shockwaves of betrayal crashing through his mind as he flailed. Panic surged. He couldn't breathe, couldn't comprehend how easily blood turned to animosity within their family. As he resurfaced, the yacht receded into the distance, the laughter transforming into haunting echoes. Loyalty, it seemed, had dissipated into the shimmering waves. Jack swam to the jagged shore of the rocky beach, rage fueling his movements. Gasping for air, he crawled onto the sand, desperation coursing through him. Then he spotted something half-buried, a weathered leather journal, the edges tinged with years of neglect. His fingers trembled as he pried it free, curiosity igniting beneath the weight of shock. As he opened it, his grandfather's handwriting sprang to life on the pages, filled with sketches and innovative designs that spoke of an environmental technology that could change the industry. He flipped through the pages, heart pounding, excitement boiling in his veins. The journal wasn't just a relic. It held the key to reclaiming his family name and protecting a world that ignored preservation for profit. He couldn't let this slip away. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With a newfound sense of purpose, Jack raced against an unseen clock. Time was slipping through his fingers, just like the opportunity that lay nestled in the pages of the journal. His heart thudded with determination. He would honor his grandfather's memory, but the world wasn't the welcoming place he envisioned. It was mercilessly entrenched in bias against someone like him, a mere academic without the polish of wealth or social status. Julia, a kindred soul he met through their shared passion, sparked a flame of hope. Together, they forged their ambitions, creating waves that unsettled the corners of corporate greed. But as Jack delved deeper into his grandfather's genius, Trevor spun webs of deception to secure the family legacy for himself. The tides of entitlement churned against him, and Jack found himself at the point of despair, tearing between family loyalty and a burning desire for justice. As Jack sifted through the remnants of grief and ambition, he unknowingly edged closer to a revelation that would redefine everything he thought he knew. about his family, their intentions, and ultimately, himself. Would he rise from the ashes of betrayal with the strength to claim his rightful place, or would he crumble beneath the weight of familial strife? The answer waited just beyond the horizon. Jack's fingers brushed against the sketch on the page, a variety of eco-friendly technologies taking shape in the margins. His mind, already reeling from the betrayal, now swirled with ambition. He felt a fire igniting within him, the desire to embrace this hidden potential. No longer merely a forgotten member of the Spencer clan, he was becoming an agent of change steeped in purpose. With the journal clutched tightly under his arm, Jack's first instinct was to find Julia. She had been the first to recognize his talents, to see beyond the lab coat and into the soul of the scientist before her. Her passion for sustainability mirrored his own, and together, they could turn this newfound knowledge into action. He envisioned nights spent poring over the journal's innovations, crafting a plan that could defy the corporate greed choking innovation in their industry. But internal fears churned restlessly. Could he truly bring his grandfather's vision to life amidst the deception of Trevor's influence? Would their combined voices be drowned out by the wealth and power standing in opposition? Ignoring the rising knot of doubt in his stomach, Jack steeled himself for the purpose ahead. He contacted Julia, sharing snippets of the journal's contents, igniting her imagination. Imagine the impact this could have. We can reshape the conversation around environmental technology. Their voices fluttered with excitement across the phone, an infectious enthusiasm that cast aside their trepidations. As they discussed possibilities, Jack felt the weight of his cousin's disdain fade, momentarily eclipsed by an uplifting sense of possibility. They set a meeting at a local coffee shop, a humble oasis away from the opulence of Trevor's world. Julia arrived, eyes sparkling with an enthusiasm that mirrored Jack's. So what's our first move? We need to map things out. As they brainstormed, the cafe buzzed around them, yet Jack felt cocooned in an atmosphere of electric ideas. Drawing from the journal, Jack sketched out concepts for prototypes. He could picture them developing these ideas further, presenting them at conferences, gaining traction and funding. Julia's suggestions carved pathways he had never envisioned. It was a whirlwind of collaboration, each of them pushing the boundaries of possibility. But as they met repeatedly, Jack became increasingly aware of how far he was straying from his original path. Was he diverting energy towards a scheming competition with Trevor, or was he genuinely committed to making a difference? He hesitated whenever the thought flickered through his mind, uncertain if he was being self-serving or altruistic. The lines blurred with each cup of coffee sipped and each plan laid out. Desperation to validate his own worth surged within him. Jack dove into his work, but with every late-night session, he felt the distance between his aim, the grand vision to honor his grandfather, and the tactics they employed to achieve it grow increasingly treacherous. Every idea shimmered with promise, yet he questioned. Were they building a vision, or simply another facade hiding behind ambition? When Jack confronted Julia about these doubts, she listened intently, a pensive look crossing her face. "You seek validation from a place that represents everything we stand against," she said after a moment. "We must create from a foundation of integrity, or we'll lose ourselves in the process." Jack pondered her words, realization dawning. He couldn't become a pawn in an unequal game. The revelation sparked in his mind like electrical currents. The knowledge he had unearthed was power, yet its true potential rested in its application. He needed to redefine the stakes for himself, not just find ways to outplay Trevor's corporate machinations. They agreed then. Jack and Julia would pour themselves into the missions outlined in the journal, reaching out to environmental groups, seeking alliances beyond corporate greed. They would leverage the innovations to galvanize public interest, aiming to sidestep Trevor's world entirely. As Jack stood to leave, a quiet determination surged within him. He would face whatever came next on his terms, knowing the direction was a path of integrity and purpose. Just then, he felt himself gripped by an unsettling sense of foreboding. Trevor wouldn't sit back idly and let his cousin succeed on the merit of family innovation. The battle lines were being drawn, and Jack would soon confront the darkness lurking within his family. The time for action approached swiftly, but first he had to ensure his plan would withstand Trevor's imminent retaliation. A simmering conflict was brewing. Victory seemed just out of reach, and Jack's thoughts raced ahead. Would his new path secure his family's legacy, or ignite an even deeper rivalry? Only time would tell what a confrontation with Trevor would ultimately yield. Jack sat at the small table in the coffee shop, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee swirling around him like a comforting cloak. Yet beneath the surface, anxiety bubbled. He glanced at Julia, who was deep in thought, her pencil dancing over a notepad filled with ideas. Their brainstorming sessions had grown into a refuge for his ambitions, but there was a nagging thought tugging at the edges of his mind, a fear that they were racing forward without understanding the depth of the battle they were about to wage. "Julia," he said, breaking the focus of their shared momentum. "What if we aren't prepared for what's coming? Trevor doesn't play fair. He'll do whatever it takes to undermine us." She paused, looking up with a mixture of sympathy and resolve. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. This is about more than just beating Trevor. It's about creating something lasting." Her words resonated with him, sparking a flicker of determination. Jack realized he was standing at a crossroads between integrity and ambition. He needed to harness the innovations in the journal, not simply as a means to combat his cousin's influence, but as a genuine effort to instigate change. The distinction was crucial. It would define their mission. Over the next few weeks, the duo worked tirelessly. They reached out to environmental organizations and engaged with grassroots campaigns, sharing snippets of their ambitious vision from the journal. Jack found himself giving presentations and attending community forums, awakening a latent eloquence he hadn't known existed within him. It was as if every conversation was igniting pieces of himself that had long been dormant, but doubt hovered like a shadow. Every time he spoke about their initiatives, the memory of Trevor's scornful gaze loomed large. Was this burgeoning confidence enough to withstand the pressures that awaited him? Jack could feel the precariousness of his newfound passion, a tightrope stretched high above uncertainty. One evening, as he prepared for a presentation that would outline their first major partnership with a local nonprofit, Jack heard a knock on his apartment door. He opened it to find Trevor leaning against the doorframe, a smug grin plastered on his face. "Jack, I was beginning to think you'd vanished," Trevor said, appropriately condescending. "I hear you're becoming quite the eco-warrior. Cute." Jack's heart raced, his resolve tested by the familiar undertow of familial rivalry. Trevor's presence was a reminder that their efforts might not be as safe as he hoped. "Why are you here?" Jack managed, though venom seeped through his composure. "Just wanted to offer a warning, little cousin. Change is coming, and it won't be what you're expecting. There are forces at play that you can't control. This movement you're brewing, it won't last against the realities of the industry. Are you trying to intimidate me?" Jack felt the energy shift from fear to defiance. Trevor snorted, his facade of nonchalance cracking. "I'm not trying. I'm simply pointing out the truth. The world doesn't change because you wish it to. It changes when the structure allows it, and I will ensure it stays just as it is." As Trevor turned to leave, Jack felt that familiar spark within him flare up again. But this time, it felt different. It was a call to arms. Trevor's threat ignited an urgency inside him. If there was anything he learned from the journal, it was that real change required monumental grit and perseverance. Jack knew now that every ounce of confidence he had must be wielded against Trevor's encroaching chaos. He would push through the tension and forge his own legacy, tethered deeply to integrity instead of familial expectation. As he closed the door, determination surged. Jack resolved to confront not only Trevor, but also his own self-doubt. He would shape the narrative. He would reclaim the narrative of the Spencer family legacy. The stakes were higher than ever, and Jack felt a chilling anticipation settle at the back of his mind. Was he truly ready for the trials ahead? Change was on the horizon, and betrayal was close at hand. The moment of reckoning approached, and Jack needed to prepare for the battle he never truly wished to confront. Would his acceptance of this challenge merely be a prelude to the ultimate downfall, or the dawn of a vital resurgence? The following days blurred into an unrelenting cycle of research, planning, and meetings, each moment infused with Jack's simmering desire to prove himself. The partnership with the nonprofit began to materialize into something tangible, a collective hope that radiated from their meetings, though an ever-present anxiety whispered for caution. Each early morning began with Jack's hands wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee, the rich aroma grounding him amidst the chaos of his thoughts. Julia was a constant in this storm, their shared efforts cementing an unspoken pact. They would not let Trevor's condescension dictate the course of their venture. Yet every time Jack penned a new strategy or crafted a proposal, Trevor's warning haunted his mind. What if they weren't doing enough? What if they were just pawns in a game far beyond their comprehension? The gnawing questions propelled him forward, but also held him back, two opposing forces that wrestled within him. During one evening's meeting with Julia and their new non-profit partner, an unexpected moment shifted the atmosphere. As Jack spoke about their initiative to promote sustainable practices through educational workshops, he noticed the way the room's energy shifted. People leaned in, their interest piqued. Encouraged, Jack tapped into his growing confidence, illustrating the impact their actions could have on the community and beyond. But just as he began to feel on solid ground, his thoughts flickered back to Trevor, questioning his every assertion. How could he expect others to believe in him if he wasn't certain himself? "Jack," Julia interrupted, pulling him back from the precipice. "You're doing great. Just remember, this isn't about proving Trevor wrong. It's about what we want to achieve." Her insight reset his focus. It was a reminder that the energy they had was rooted in passion, not revenge. Jack began intentionally separating his vision from the shadow of his cousin's contempt. He sought to transform the narrative, framing it around his values rather than the lingering specter of competition. In the weeks that followed, Jack's reputation began to shift. They attracted a small yet fervent group of supporters galvanized by their commitment to environmental preservation. He basked in the thrill of their gradually growing influence, a feeling both electrifying and terrifying. Yet every instance of success was met with a surge of internal conflict. Was he merely looming behind Julia's determination? Was he harnessing his voice or merely echoing hers? It wasn't until a scheduled media interview that he faced a pivotal moment. The opportunity had arisen unexpectedly, a chance to present their mission to a wider audience. Standing in front of the camera, he felt the familiar grip of hesitation clawing at him. This time, however, it wasn't Trevor's scornful modulation echoing in his mind, but the faces of those who believed in their cause. He spoke passionately. Every struggle voiced was imbued with the purpose that had propelled him to this point. As he articulated their goals, a quiet revelation struck him. The journey was not solely about victory over Trevor. It was about igniting change that echoed the very values he had sought to embrace. He veered off the preset script, speaking from a raw and vulnerable space. Words flowed from him unrestrained. He saw their significance and power unfold in real time. Later that evening, while the adrenaline still pulsed through him, Jack received an unexpected text. It was from Trevor. "You don't really think this will work, do you? The world is cruel, Jack. Remember that." Jack's initial reaction was anger, but as he processed the message, curiosity began to intertwine with resolve. What if Trevor was right? What if their wildfire of ambition was about to be doused by a storm he couldn't foresee? This complexity ignited within him. The idea wasn't about merely winning in defiance, but about preparing for the endless nature of the challenge ahead. As doubt swirled and determination intertwined with defiance, Jack stood at a precipice of decision. What lay ahead was uncertain, ripe with potential tribulations. Would he simply stand firm against Trevor's storm, or forge a path that illuminated his true essence? With this uncertainty looming large, a deeper question echoed in his mind. How far was he willing to go to stake his claim in this battle for integrity and legacy? In the distance, they could feel the tide shifting. The time had come to face not just the external adversaries, but also the fears that had kept him restrained for too long. Would he rise to this new challenge, or succumb to the doubts that so assiduously clung to him? The days that followed were a tangled web of exhilaration and trepidation. Jack awoke each morning to a swirl of thoughts that juggled between ambition and anxiety. With Julia by his side, they set their sights on establishing their nonprofit's identity, working diligently, yet remaining ever aware of Trevor's critical voice lurking in the back of his mind. Jack found solace in the structure of daily routines, but began to question whether they were merely comforting distractions. He scheduled brainstorming sessions, hoping to refine their mission with more clarity. Each session proved cathartic and full of ideas. But as he noted the burgeoning excitement in Julia's eyes, a shadow of doubt crept in. Was he merely a facilitator of her spirited ideas? Freshly stoked by his recent media appearance, he understood that self-doubt could quickly morph into self-sabotage. Determined to seize control over his narrative, Jack engaged in a rigorous self-evaluation. He revisited his childhood, recollecting the moments when self-assurance was not plagued by insecurity. He had once dreamt of making a difference, a dream now woven with complex strings of doubt. He channeled that nostalgia, crafting a mental image of the tenacious young boy who believed he could impact change. Days turned into week-long discussions on strategies, with Julia's enthusiasm often infectious. They reviewed plans for workshops and seminars designed to educate others about sustainable living. Jack despaired, however, at the thought of becoming redundant to Julia's fire. In each group meeting, their partner organizations' representatives nod knowingly at Julia, while Jack felt his voice shrink, dulled by the brightness of her presence. In search of clarity, Jack turned to solitude. Strolling through the quiet park near his home, he considered what lay behind Trevor's biting message. Could there be a truth within the cynicism? Were they merely playing idealistic puppets while larger, harsher realities loomed? Focusing on breathing deeply, he pondered where his own ideals intersected with the harsh world around him. Jack returned to the office invigorated by the realization that every venture is fraught with uncertainty, but passion could serve as a safety harness. He started outlining personal goals, not just for the nonprofit but for himself. Each night, he penned down actionable steps to amplify his role, embracing confrontation and authenticity. In doing so, he began to unearth his own voice, the opinion shaped by personal beliefs rather than fears. In meetings that followed, Jack began to press himself, advocating for ideas that ignited him, even if they diverged from Julia's suggestions. "What if we added a community component to the workshops?" he suggested one afternoon. "Not just education, but a mentorship program that empowers locals to act on these teachings." The reaction was electric. Room dynamics shifted. Julia nodded in agreement, her respect and appreciation for Jack illuminating him in a way he hadn't expected. She leaned closer, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm rather than overshadowing him. Jack felt the weight of self-imposed limitations slipping away. But with each action, a new specter emerged. The more he stepped into his role, the more cinematic Trevor's message became, a constant reminder that doubt thrived in gray areas. One afternoon, as Jack prepared for another high-stakes meeting, he discovered a file on his desk, a comprehensive report from Trevor outlining flaws that he had applied to their initiative. Jack's heart raced. It echoed Trevor's disdain, a clear reflection of the skepticism that haunted his journey. Was he prepared for this confrontation? Could he expose his underpinnings without crumbling under pressure? Trepidation loomed, but Jack could feel his resolve solidifying. He needed to confront Trevor not just as an antagonist, but an integral part of his growth. "Your words might sting, Trevor," he murmured to himself as he steadied his breath, "but they only have the power I give them." As he prepared for the meeting, he knew the time had come to stop defining his worth through Trevor's lens. As the hour approached, Jack stood before the mirror, his gaze unwavering. He understood that each decision held the potential to define not just this moment, but also his journey forward. The door loomed before him like an opening into a tempest, and he was not going to hesitate. Would he falter under expectation, or rise to a new challenge, one uniquely defined by his values? Uncertainty crackled in the air as he poised himself to step forward, ready to face the true cost of integrity in a world that thrived on cynicism. Would he emerge unscathed, or would he be forced to confront a truth far deeper than he had anticipated? Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself as he stepped into the conference room for the meeting with Trevor and the board. The air was thick with unspoken tension, each member's gaze drawing him closer to the inevitable confrontation. He smoothed down his shirt, aligning his thoughts, determined not to retreat this time. As he settled into his seat, he could feel the glances exchanged between Trevor and the board members. Their whispers clung to the air, a chorus of skepticism that echoed the doubts Jack had battled within himself. It's time to dismantle that narrative, he thought, mentally preparing his rebuttals to Trevor's harsh critique. Trevor's presentation began, showcasing a list of perceived flaws in the nonprofit initiative. Jack's heart raced as he took in the pointed criticisms, some valid, some steeped in the cynicism Jack had grappled with for so long. Each slide struck a different chord of urgency. The flaws felt much more like an indictment of him, rather than simple constructive feedback. "This project lacks focus," Trevor said flatly, his tone barely concealing his disdain. "Your last proposal was a distraction, not a solution. We need action that drives measurable results, not just good intentions." Even among the polished veneer aimed at the rest of the board, Jack sensed a deeper intent, an attempt to provoke him into the corner of doubt where he often dwelt. For a fleeting moment, the weight of Trevor's words threatened to pull him under. But then, an ember of resolve flared to life within him, a fire ignited by the very realization that he could pave his own path. He cut into Trevor's presentation with a confident interjection, something he had rarely done before. "If we're so focused on measurable results, why not measure our impact on the community's engagement?" Jack's voice held a new steadiness, surprising himself as those words escaped his lips, laden with a defiance he had not believed he possessed. Mentorship can help strengthen not just our influence, but also our accountability. Are we willing to be just another organization, or do we want to create a meaningful legacy? The room fell silent. Each board member, including Julia, turned their attention fully to him, their expressions shifting from surprise to contemplation. Jack felt the energy shift. He had projected conviction rather than uncertainty. A slow smile crept onto Julia's face, a sign that he had touched upon something essential. Trevor, however, seemed unyielding as ever, a predator expecting his prey to fold. "But how do we quantify such commitment?" His voice dripped with skepticism, an overt challenge that compelled Jack to dig deeper. "Isn't that where our growth begins?" Jack felt emboldened, words spilling forth from a place he hardly recognized. "We start with intangible relationships that, over time, translate into measurable impact. We can create metrics that show long-term benefits, not just short-sighted achievements. It's about building trust." In that moment, Jack unlocked a wellspring of insights he had long kept buried. He started speaking from his own experience with mentorship in the past, explaining how trust could lead to an empowered community, a community that could engage consistently rather than sporadically. As he spoke, revelations flipped within him like a switch ignited. The self-doubt that had haunted Jack started retreating, replaced by clarity and direction. He was not merely a facilitator of ideas, he was a catalyst for change, rooted in his principles, rather than the relentless voice of skepticism reminding him of his limitations. Trevor's expression morphed from defiance to a slight grimace, sensing Jack's newfound determination. The board members looked pensive, a collective shift indicating something familiar yet foreign to Jack. A glimpse of respect. As the meeting adjourned, Jack's heart thrummed wildly in his chest. He felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with pride. He had not just stood his ground. He had reevaluated his purpose, and fortified his resolve in front of skeptics who once made him question his own capability. Still, one question lingered ominously in his thoughts. Would Trevor retaliate, doubling down on his efforts to undermine Jack's growing confidence? The prospect of a renewed confrontation loomed ahead, and Jack steeled himself. As he left the meeting room, Julia caught up to him, her excitement palpable. "Jack, that was incredible. You really owned your voice," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "Thanks. But this isn't over yet," he replied, unease creeping back into his mind. "I just have a feeling Trevor is still going to fight hard against us. I need to be prepared for his next move." With that realization settling uneasily in his chest, Jack understood that the road ahead required more than just bravery. It would call for strategic thinking and an unwavering commitment to his own values. The real test was just beginning. The following days after the meeting felt like a tenuous dance between uncertainty and purpose. Jack committed himself to a rigorous self-reflection process, aiming to consolidate the newfound confidence he had acquired in the conference room. Amid the routine of his daily responsibilities, he meticulously documented insights from his interactions, brainstorming potential strategies, and assessing the underlying strengths of his nonprofit initiative. The act of writing transformed from an exercise of mere record-keeping into a source of clarity, sharpening his focus on what mattered most. Each night, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Jack found solace in the quiet rhythm of his thoughts. He revisited those critical moments of the meeting when his voice had gained traction, a steady pulse of inspiration flowing through him. "What does it take to drive this initiative forward?" he mused, aware that identifying a clear and engaging narrative would be crucial in counteracting Trevor's doubts. He sought resources, books, podcasts, and interviews featuring visionaries who had embraced mentorship as a transformative tool. Every article he pored over, every podcast he listened to, stoked the growing fire of his ambition and redirected his earlier fears into a tactical plan. He began to develop a framework for presenting mentorship not as a fluffy ideal, but as a robust avenue for measurable success. However, the specter of Trevor's skepticism loomed large in Jack's psyche. It reared its head during several meetings with collaborators and stakeholders, where Trevor's pessimistic views surfaced through casual references and dismissive remarks. Jack felt a familiar knot tightening in his gut each time Trevor was mentioned. It was a reminder that the challenge was not merely conceptual, it was personal. Fueled by an urge to establish credibility, Jack began reaching out to peer organizations. He initiated purposeful dialogues, asking pointed questions about their methods of gauging community engagement. What metrics did they track? How did they address critical voices within their teams while preserving morale? Each conversation deepened Jack's understanding and effectively transformed his theoretical framework into a tangible plan. As he honed his strategy, he inadvertently uncovered a hidden competency: the ability to forge authentic relationships quickly. Connections built through dedicated outreach showcased not just Jack's commitment to collaboration, but a growing shift in his leadership style. For the first time, he felt what it meant to galvanize others around a singular, impactful vision. Still, the question of Trevor's next move nagged at him. They often crossed paths in the office, and the understated tension felt like a tightrope walk. Jack sensed that Trevor was biding his time, waiting for an opening to reassert his dominance as the voice of authority. Jack steeled himself at the prospect of inevitable confrontation. Every interaction felt like an advancing storm. And then it happened. Jack received an email from Trevor, inviting him for a one-on-one discussion. The directness of the request was unexpected and unnerving. Was this simply a chance for a frank exchange, or was there a deeper, more dangerous game afoot? The prospect of facing Trevor in a more intimate setting, where every word would carry weight, ignited a flicker of anxiety and anticipation within Jack. He knew he could not afford to be flippant or ill-prepared. This meeting could determine not only the fate of his initiative, but also his burgeoning identity as a leader. Would he succumb to Trevor's criticisms, or would he leverage it as an opportunity to bolster his vision further? As Jack looked out across the city from his office window, swirling clouds mirrored his swirling thoughts. The time had come to prepare for the ultimate confrontation, a test of not just his ideas, but of his burgeoning sense of self. Would he emerge unscathed, or would this duel between him and Trevor break him anew? Each tick of the clock reminded him the moment of truth was near. The fluorescent lights hummed as Jack took a deep breath, his hands resting on the table, feeling the cool surface beneath him like a constant reminder of the reality he was about to step into. Trevor would be here any minute, and the gravity of the impending conversation weighed heavily in the silence. Each tick of the clock beat like a drum in his ears, a metronome amplifying both his anticipation and dread. He glanced down at the notes he had prepared, every bullet point a signpost guiding him through this inevitable confrontation. This meeting could cement his credibility, or unravel the progress he had made. Jack envisioned the scenarios that could unfold, flipping through pages of dialogue in his mind. Would Trevor lean into his skepticism, or would he acknowledge Jack's growth? As the door creaked open, Jack's heart raced. Trevor strode in confidently, exuding a calm authority that was hard to ignore. Jack met his gaze, feeling the tension in the air morph into something electric. Trevor's expression was unreadable, a mix of curiosity and calculation. "Jack," Trevor started, his voice smooth, "let's cut to the chase. I appreciate your proactive approach lately." There was a pause, and Jack felt the weight of the unvoiced "but" lingering behind Trevor's words. "I know you've been reaching out to other organizations," Trevor continued. "You're searching for validation, but are you prepared for what you might find or don't find?" Jack clenched his jaw, resisting the instinct to leap defensively. This was not merely a critique. It was an opportunity. "I'm gathering insights to enhance our framework. Other successful initiatives have something to teach us," he responded, consciously standing tall. "Or challenge your authority," Trevor shot back with a glint of mischief. "You risk losing your grip on the direction of this initiative if you lean too heavily on external validation." With that, Jack felt the knot in his stomach twist tighter. It was true. He was grappling with the balancing act of growth and direction. But was Trevor right in insinuating that this was a sign of weakness? He considered his recent outreach as a tactic to broaden his understanding, to forge a path laden with data and experience. What could be wrong with that? "I'm not seeking validation that replaces my vision, Trevor. I'm looking for ways to reinforce it," Jack asserted. Each word was deliberate. He needed to shift Trevor's narrative without succumbing to his doubts. Mentorship is about learning from diverse perspectives, not about undermining my authority. At this, Trevor leaned in slightly, his poker face softening. "Fair enough. But what metrics are you thinking about?" The conversation took on a new light, and Jack felt a flicker of hope. He internalized Trevor's questions as not just challenges, but as openings for dialogue. He launched into a detailed explanation of the framework he had been developing, citing specific instances from his conversations with peer organizations. He articulated how mentorship could yield measurable outcomes, addressing not just personal growth, but organizational success as well. As Jack spoke, he saw Trevor's demeanor shift. His skepticism began to dissipate, replaced by intrigue. Despite the initial tension, a subtle acknowledgement seemed to resonate between them. Perhaps Trevor saw the potential that Jack envisioned. This mutual recognition was a small yet vital shift, altering the dynamics of their relationship. But as the conversation wrapped, Trevor leaned back with a flicker of challenge in his eyes. "Let's see how this plays out, Jack. But be careful. Even the most promising initiatives can falter if the right narratives aren't in place." Jack left the meeting room feeling a mixture of exhaustion and empowerment. He had faced Trevor head-on, articulating his vision despite the shadows of doubt. Yet the challenge was far from over. Trevor's warning lingered, and Jack understood that their confrontation was but a prologue to a greater battle, a test against unforeseen obstacles that might still threaten to undermine his path. As the sun dipped low, spreading hues of orange and purple across the sky, a new question emerged in Jack's mind. What other narratives lay in wait for him to uncover? Tomorrow would be a new day, and he knew he needed to delve deeper into not just his strategy, but his own understanding of what leadership truly meant. Would he be strong enough to hold on to his vision as the complexities of reality began to unfold? Jack woke the next morning with a restless energy coursing through him, fueled by the previous day's meeting. The idea that there were multiple narratives waiting to be uncovered persisted in his mind, pressing him forward. The sunlight streaming through his window fell like a cascade of possibilities upon him, urging him to take action. After a hurried breakfast, he opened his laptop, determined to analyze the data he had gathered during his outreach. He clicked through reports, meticulously reviewing notes and metrics from organizations that had successfully navigated the turbulent waters he currently faced. Each entry brought new insights, but also challenges. They weren't just about mirroring success. They revealed nuanced approaches to mentorship and leadership that he hadn't fully considered. Jack started jotting down ideas, mapping out how he could incorporate these findings into a more cohesive strategy. He realized that leadership wasn't merely about authority or a vision. It was about adaptability. Were his leadership skills flexible enough to respond to unexpected challenges? This reflection set a fire beneath him, driving him deeper into the research. Later, as he prepared to meet with his team, Jack confronted the nagging self-doubt that had shadowed him for too long. His conversations with Trevor had pushed him out of his comfort zone, yet the apprehension remained. What if his approach was too unorthodox? What if the team rejected his revisions? Pacing before the mirror, he practiced his words, hydrating his confidence like a plant yearning for sunlight. In the meeting room, he faced a sea of expectant faces. Although his heart raced, he adopted a steady demeanor. He presented the framework he'd refined, integrating feedback and metrics from his outreach, emphasizing not just the data, but the stories behind them. He drew parallels between qualitative experiences and quantitative growth, hoping to illustrate the value of mentorship that transcended the numbers. As he spoke, Jack scanned the room. His colleagues were engaged but divided. Some leaned in with interest, while others shifted uncomfortably in their chairs, unconvinced. A few raised their eyebrows, doubt evident in their expressions as they absorbed the shift in direction. He could almost hear their internal dialogues echoing the same apprehensions he had faced. Would they question his authority or embrace the potential he was laying out? "Jack," one team member called out, interrupting his flow. "How can we be sure that these new initiatives won't jeopardize the program we currently have in place? Isn't there a risk of diluting our core mission?" The question hung in the air, and Jack felt his stomach twist. It was a fair point, yet it felt like a direct challenge to his newly minted plan. His instinct was to recoil, but instead, he steadied himself. That's a legitimate concern. However, our core mission can evolve without being diluted. The insights I've gathered may transform our approach, but they're meant to reinforce our foundational goals, not dismantle them. The room shifted again, and he felt encouraged by the internal struggle on their faces. They were weighing the risks against the potential benefits, just as he had. As the meeting wore on, Jack noticed the dialogue becoming more dynamic. Colleagues began to throw out ideas based on his framework, discussing how they might implement some of the proposed changes. Flickers of enthusiasm sparked among a few, and Jack sensed a collective energy building. They were oscillating between skepticism and inspiration, and it fueled him further. When the meeting concluded, Jack felt exhilarated. Though he hadn't converted everyone entirely, he made significant strides toward reframing the conversation around mentorship. There was still uncertainty, and he knew it wouldn't be easy, but perhaps the exchange had been the catalyst for deeper discussions moving forward. As he packed up his notes, Jack's mind turned back to Trevor's challenge. It loomed larger than before. How would he transform the growing potential from the meeting into tangible outcomes? He sensed an excitement in the challenge, a call to put his doubts to test. The day had opened a new narrative, one where he would have to navigate uncertainty while remaining true to his vision. It was a daunting prospect, but his determination solidified. Jack felt he was standing at the brink of personal evolution. He could either shatter under pressure or rise to meet the challenge head-on. But was he really ready for the deeper questions that awaited him? What sacrifices might he have to make in pursuit of his goals? The answers loomed ahead, tantalizing yet intimidating, pushing him to confront the knowledge that the real test was just beginning. Jack stood on the rooftop of a local community center, overlooking the bustling streets of San Francisco. The skyline was a blend of towering steel and shimmering glass, much like the evolution he had experienced over the past months. He had journeyed from a place of self-doubt, overshadowed by his affluent cousin's disdain, to embracing a newfound identity as a leader, one who prioritized integrity and purpose. Months had passed since the pivotal confrontation with Trevor. In the wake of their tense meeting, Jack had doubled down on his efforts to revamp the nonprofit's initiatives, refining their mentorship programs based on both qualitative insights and quantitative metrics. He and Julia worked tirelessly, engaging local partners, inspiring community participation, and galvanizing support around their eco-friendly technologies. Each small victory solidified Jack's place, moving him further away from the confines of his cousin's shadow. The day had finally come for the public launch of their mentoring initiative, a collaborative project poised to equip individuals with the tools to enact sustainable practices within their neighborhoods. As the sun beamed down, Jack felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He knew that this event wasn't just about the program itself. It was a testament to his own transformation and the validation of his vision. He had stitched his passion together with purpose, turning ambitions into achievable goals. As the crowd began to gather, family, friends, and supporters filled the seats, creating a vibrant tapestry of faces that reflected hope and determination. He caught sight of Julia in the corner, her warm smile igniting the spark of motivation he sorely needed. Together, they had built something more than a program. They had forged a community rooted in shared values. Jack approached the podium, heart pounding yet steady. He took a deep breath, the familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air serving as a grounding force. It was time to speak, a moment of integrity illuminated by genuine belief. He began by recounting his journey, the initial struggles and doubts, weaving in the lessons learned from every setback and every triumph. "I stand before you not as a man defined by his past or overshadowed by a relative's wealth," he declared. The room fell silent, every eye glued to him, soaking in the sincerity of his words. Today, we celebrate the human spirit that commits to change, that refuses to be defined by circumstances. Pandemonium erupted as he unveiled the Mentorship initiative, showcasing testimonials from participants who had already begun to feel the transformative power of the program. Their success stories unfolded like a vibrant canvas, revealing individuals who had benefited from the workshops and mentorships offered by Jack's initiative. The audience was captivated, inspired by real-life evidence that change was not only possible, but blossoming in their community. As applause filled the room, Jack's heart swelled. This was the validation he needed, not just from others, but from within himself. He realized that he had conquered his fears, rising not only to meet the challenges laid before him, but thriving under them. He wasn't merely a participant in someone else's legacy. He had established his own. Then came the moment of recognition. A representative from a well-respected environmental organization stepped forward to commend Jack on his efforts. "Your initiative is not just impactful, it is a beacon of hope. You are redefining leadership through purpose and community engagement." This acknowledgement felt like a crescendo, affirming the path Jack had carved out for himself. With every word spoken, the weight of Trevor's doubts faded into the background, rendered inconsequential by the realization of what he had achieved. Jack knew he would always have to navigate the complexities of failure and triumph. But more importantly, he had discovered the core of who he was, a leader dedicated to genuine progress. As the event drew to a close, Jack stepped off the stage, met with a chorus of congratulations and encouragement. But more than that, he was met with a sense of fulfillment. He had transformed not just through recognition, but through authentic self-acceptance and refusal to succumb to external pressures. The journey he embarked upon was uniquely his, forged from challenges now rewritten into triumphs. Trevor's influence might never truly fade, but Jack felt invincible. He had proven himself capable of shaping the narrative on his terms, grounded in integrity and unwavering commitment to a cause greater than himself. Jack grinned as he looked across the room, feeling a sense of solidarity and purpose hug him. This was just the beginning. Rise to the occasion. You need to subscribe now to join Jack and his journey of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let's keep these emotional stories alive. Comment your thoughts about Jack's incredible journey. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this empowering conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to support the channel with your actions.